Welcome back to That's Life with John Carver. My guest today is Katie Redding. Thank you, Katie, for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
Appreciate it a lot. You bet. Katie and I met at a banquet several weeks ago in our little town called Manchester, Maryland. And Katie was honored with an award for service to the neighborhood and her community and helping people. And I read some stories about her over the last several months. And she has a journey, I think, that will inspire many of you to look at yourself a little differently and maybe the people in your life a little differently. So again, thanks for being on the show.
Absolutely.
If you could kind of share the early years and what eventually led you to this place in your life that has radically changed how you live.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for having me, first of all.
Sure,
It's an honor to be here. I struggled with my weight for a good portion of my life. I would say probably late high school time period, I started struggling. Weight became, or keeping a good healthy weight in check became very difficult for me. And I grew up in a family where both of my parents were overweight. Several family members were overweight. So quite frequently I would hear, you just got the bad genes, that's the way it is. My older sister and my younger brother were super skinny and could eat, whatever they wanted and didn't seem to have a problem. But my struggle was a little bit more difficult. So I would say I struggled for about 15 years and tried many different diety type programs. But my dad had diabetes and blood pressure issues, and it really was concerning to me as I got older and started to realize what this added weight could really do to my life and the damage that could do if I allowed that to continue. I tried different diet programs. So I would say the last, before where I am today, but the previous to that, my kind of tipping point was not having enough energy to be able to enjoy my life with my children. So I had 3 kids in about 3.5 years, and that does quite a number on a busy mom. So I had no energy to help take care of them. We're a very active family. We love to go camping. We love to go hiking, all of those fun things, and I wasn't able to do that. I would run out of energy very, very quickly, and before we even started making dinner, I would be ready for a nap. So even though I tried all their other diets, and I would lose even significant amounts of weight, maybe even 50 pounds, very shortly after that, I would regain it back. The minute I stopped watching what I was eating exactly, that weight would come back on very quickly. So my tipping point was realizing I can't enjoy my life with my children. We would go to the amusement park and I would watch them get on rides. I would not get on with them because I couldn't fit in the seat or it was uncomfortable. So I kind of was on the sidelines of life is what it felt like to me. So I had an opportunity I ran into, I guess, a different way of approaching health and wellness and lifestyle change, and that's kind of what pointed me in the direction to where I am today.
So if you go back to childhood and being a teenager and in your earlier years, not to say you're old by any stretch of the imagination, but when you were a kid,
Sure.
Was there a why behind your diet or lack of dieting or weight gain? Was it depression? Was it anger? Was it fear? Was it comfort food? What are some of the things that you think, now looking back, that caused you to potentially overeat or eat the wrong stuff?
John, I think a lot of it was carelessness. Looking back, I don't remember being terribly unhealthy. although we did fall into those patterns and habits that many people do, the nighttime snack late at night before bed. And as the struggle for me really started late in high school, and that's when I got really busy. I was trying to cram all of my high school into the first 3 years of high school so that I could go do some other things in my senior year. Then I got married very, very young. And I think you just fall into those really bad habits. And like I mentioned, my sister and my brother could eat anything. So you just, like that. Yeah, you just kind of eat along with them. Right. And unfortunately, it was just more trouble for me to keep the weight off. And because I was so busy, those pounds came on very, very easily.
So is it fair to say that our lifestyle choices have to be habits that we create? We can't kind of take our food choices or our exercise choices or any other choices that we have haphazardly, because what happens is, I think for a lot of us, that when we're haphazard about certain things, then stuff just happens that we don't want to have happen, whether it's weight gain or not taking your medication or doing the wrong things that eventually evolve into a situation where you can't handle it. And I think that might be what you're saying, I think part of it.
Absolutely.
Really?
When we don't plan, we're really going to fail. And that's whether it's diet and exercise, health, wellness. Right. It's really true of every aspect of our life. The minute we stop planning, things go downhill. And not that you have to sit there and schedule every bite that you're going to eat or every step that you take, but without an overall goal and plan and vision, you're not going to go anywhere but down. And that certainly, was a large part of my struggle, is that in one sense I felt that things were unfair, that my sister and brother could eat whatever they wanted, but I couldn't. But it left me kind of just saying, oh, well, this is what it is, and this is how God created me, so I'm not going to worry about it. And I think the other trouble was when I would really give it all I had, and I'd be successful for that period of time, the second I slacked off on it, weight would come back. And that's really discouraging. It really is. It really, just a few pounds come back on, and you just want to throw your hands in the air and say, well, forget it. It's just, I don't have time and energy to do this struggle day in and day out.
You mentioned earlier that you couldn't get on rides with your kids because I think you were being polite and saying that you couldn't fit necessarily in some of the chairs. Is that fair to say?
Sure. Okay. It was uncomfortable for sure. Yeah.
Right. Is it important in your mind for people who want to create any kind of massive change in their lives, whether it's a weight issue or whether it's to stop smoking or to stop drinking or to find another career, that their why has to be bigger than what they're struggling with? Can you kind of share that concept in your own family, in your own mindset, about how important your why was and is to create a lifestyle now for yourself that's different than it was 15, 20 years ago?
Absolutely. Our why is often changing through the course of our life. My why 15 years ago, when I first tried to lose weight, is very different than what it is now. I'm now a mom of 3. I'm a wife to my husband of almost 17 years, and so whys change over time. Now purpose and vision for me to stay healthy is very different. So, what started out as I want to be able to just enjoy those moments with my children, now what motivates me to continue on this path of wellness and health is because I want to be around when they graduate high school, and I want to be around when they get married and have children, and to not just be here, but enjoy that time. So our why is always changing, but if the why is simply to lose a few pounds, if that alone is the why, we've missed the bigger picture altogether. Our why has to be much more than that. It needs to have a greater purpose in life, and we work with people in that every single day. I ask that question often of people: what is your why? So it's certainly something that needs to constantly be evaluated, and kind of that vision for pushing forward and good motivation.
Can you talk about a bit how important it is to have your whys and your goals in writing? Some people preach that you can remember your goals and remember your whys, but the people that I've read about and read about who have achieved any level of success in any form, they have their whys and their what they're trying to do, written down in various forms around them. And I'm not talking just on an iPhone, but I'm talking on paper, that they see it in front of them. Have you been taught that? Do you teach that? Do you know people who have those habits? And if so, can you kind of share a bit about how important it is to keep things in writing in front of you?
Absolutely. I'm a big journaler. I journal everything, which is kind of my own therapy, I guess. And so at the beginning of the year, every year, I have a new why or a new purpose, something that I'm going to work on throughout the year, and I write all of that down. So it is something that we work with others on as well, about if we don't write that down and we're not intentional about, number one, identifying and addressing what is my why at this time in my life, at this season in my life, but then also getting that written down and on paper. I think just the simple act of writing it, putting it in writing, is really, really important. And in some ways, it holds us accountable, and it allows us to share out what our goal is with other people, to be accountable as well. So whether that's, you write it down and you have it on the mirror in your bathroom or on your fridge, or like you said, on your phone that's constantly with us all the time, it's super important. When we don't write it down, first of all, we're very forgetful people. We forget what that is. So it's just good to be reminded of it throughout the day, throughout our week.
I want to ask a question that we didn't talk about before the show started airing. But talk to me about your husband and how his evolution in your journey, because in my opinion, I don't even know the guy, but in my opinion, without having family around you that believes in what you're trying to do, can make it very difficult. As an example would be, you don't need to lose any weight, let's go out and get some Twinkies, or let's go eat a pizza at 12 o'clock at night, or et cetera. So can you kind of share how important a spouse's role is with a life change so radical like yours? Because doing this alone is nearly impossible for most of us.
Absolutely. My husband is the best. So I thank you for giving me an opportunity to brag on him a little bit, because he really has been my rock and supporter from the beginning, no matter what my goal has been. Unfortunately, not everybody has that support. I understand that. But he was instrumental in me being successful. From the moment, we got married when we were 19, 20 years old. And from that first moment until today, he said he still sees me as that 15-year-old girl that he met way back when, and so it has never mattered to him whether I've been overweight or at a healthy weight, but he's always encouraged me for whatever my goals were, and that was so important to me, to be able to live the day in and day out. He was my biggest cheerleader when I was working hard at the gym or trying a new healthy lifestyle for our family, and he never really struggled with his weight. Now, he's certainly been up and down throughout his life as well, but it wasn't necessarily a huge struggle for him as it was for me. So there were times where he would have an ice cream sundae and I wouldn't, but he there were also times when he would eat elsewhere if he knew that something would trigger me or bother me. He would do that maybe while he was at work, so that at home we just continued eating the healthy way. So he would try new vegetables when I was experimenting and was a really good sport about it. He didn't complain about it. He actually, though, in the last, I guess about 5 years ago, he lost 50 pounds as well. So
Wow.
it's changed our life.
Wow. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I had no idea. That's huge.
Yeah.
So if there are people out there who have a weight challenge, they're overweight by X number, whatever that number is in your own mind, how important is it for you, if they don't have a spouse or a family member that's around them, is it wrong in your mind to recruit similar people that will hold you accountable? Because most of us will not be accountable to ourselves as much as we're accountable to other people. So can you kind of dig into that a little bit, how important that is to have a team of people, whether it's one person or a few, that keep you accountable to certain goals, in this example about weight loss, that can literally change your life for the better?
Absolutely. As we just discussed, it's important to have somebody around you. First of all, I think most family and friends, even if they don't have the same conviction that we might have towards health and wellness, if we sit down and explain with them and say, this is really what my goal is, and here's my why, share with that person your why and your vision for why you want to be healthy, I think in most cases, even unsupportive people can become supportive people. Right. But there are certainly cases where that's not true. And it is important to find a team of people, or at least a couple of people. You look for extended family, you look for different support groups or health coaching. That point of accountability is really the game changer in success. And again, that's true in life in general. When we surround ourselves with people that are like-minded, that are positive, and willing to get behind us and be our cheerleader, of course we're going to be more successful.
Now, with that comes a big risk, because when you recruit people to hold you accountable, then you would literally have to swallow your pride when they hold you accountable. Because there's going to come times in your own life, whatever that goal is, if it's weight loss or, again, having other habits that you're trying to break, or skill sets that you're trying to develop, that there's going to be some people that thump you, in the back of the head, and it's going to hurt. It's going to hurt your feelings. So is it important to be able to mentally handle and emotionally handle those people that are in your face that tell you, look, you need to change this and that? So giving the other people that okay?
Yeah, that permission.
Yes. That's got to be really important, right?
That's key.
That's everything.
If we're going to be accountable, like you said, if we're going to be accountable to somebody else, we have to give them permission to speak into our life. And that requires a developing of a relationship and a rapport with whoever that person is, whether it's a family member or a health coach. We have to develop that rapport and relationship to be able to hear from someone else before we're going to be able to accept what they're saying and then be able to change.
Now, your evolution has blossomed over the last several years, whereby you went from having the wrong genes, like a lot of us do.
The bad genes.
Bad genes, right, bad genes, where, there's times when I think if I look at cheesecake, I love cheesecake. If I just look at it, I gain weight, or it's chips. I can eat a bag of potato chips myself. I don't. But man, it's so easy for
Absolutely. You can't just have one chip.
Was it? No, one
not
chip.
one
Forget
chip.
that, right? So your story, your journey has gone from a person who's overweight to marrying young, having children back to back to back, to struggling with weight, to now being, and for the last several years, being in a position that your journey, your story, in a very real sense, is inspiring and changing other people's lives. Can you kind of touch on the highlights of that piece of that journey?
Sure. So we talked in the beginning of my struggle for nearly, I guess, about 15 years. But in the last 7 years, I found a program that was very different from what I had tried in the past. And it really was a lifestyle change type of program. And through that, I was able to lose 54 pounds in 4 months. And what was more significant than the weight loss itself was the lifestyle change that came with it, because that's why I've been able to be successful in keeping it off for 7 years. And I don't have to do crazy mad exercise or super restrictive dieting to be able to keep the weight off. So that was a huge change for me. And because of that, I was given an opportunity to be able to open a business where I help people every day do that same exact journey. So it's an exciting, to be able to do what you love, to help people, and for them to be able to regain their health, change their lifestyle, and be able to maintain and sustain wellness and a healthy weight. I don't think you can give someone a better gift than that.
Because it lasts a lifetime.
Absolutely.
Or it can last a lifetime. So our habits, whether they're good or bad habits, can either take us down or lift us up in a very real sense. So habits in your own life, in my own life, where we've had bad habits, whether it's eating the wrong foods or eating foods at the wrong times of day, or stress eating, or I know people in our family who, I'm not going to name names, but the stress eating is considerable. And now 30, 40 years later, your body's like, okay, I'm done, and then your body starts breaking down. So your journey has enabled you to leverage all that pain and all that discouragement and all that struggle for the sake of now lots of other people that can literally turn their life around in a pretty radical way. And I think that's huge, because a lot of us, we take our journeys and we internalize them. They're our journeys and our story. And she has a website, you can see that here on the screen. Her journey is not only her journey, but now it's lots of other people's journey that are similar, and then they're also inspiring other people, I hope.
Absolutely.
Right?
That's how it spreads. That's how the word spreads. We now have 8 health coaches in our office that help people every day, and that's exactly, we don't advertise, we don't tell people about our business. We're all walking billboards, those that are successful, and then we turn around and can help other people, and we're mentors in our community and inspiring health and wellness to other people.
I think a lot of us that go through struggles, and your struggle is not the same as mine, and mine's not the same as yours, but we really, I think, as human beings, think that we're the only people. Let me say it a different way. I thought that I was the only guy who went through the specific struggles that I've been struggling with for X amount of years. I thought I was the only one, until I started reading books and paying attention to people around my circle and beyond my circle that were going through and are going through much more difficult struggles than I went through. So I really believe that you having the courage, and it's a lot of courage to put yourself out there and say, I was this weight, and through my journey I found this and that, and now I'm keeping weight off and I'm feeling good. I can ride the rides with the kids, and the kids are seeing your lifestyle change, and that's impacting them, which will impact their kids. So I guess what I'm saying in a long, confusing way is that our journey doesn't have to be only our journey. You can leverage your journey, and that's exactly what you've done, and that's huge.
Yeah.
That's a big deal.
None of us are here independently of others.
Right.
And so you're exactly right. Our journey not only impacts others, but it can impact them for good or for bad, depending on what it is. And weight loss is hard, and weight maintenance is hard. Managing our weight, sustaining our health is difficult. And so I often tell some of our clients, I say, I ended up going into this business so that I could sustain my own health, because in that is some accountability. So we encourage all of our clients that even if they don't come to work for me formally, but that they are encouraging other people in their circles to be the cheerleader and to be the mentor and to inspire others to good health.
That's really huge.
Yeah.
Holding other people accountable by your journey and putting your own story out there is really important. If you guys want more information on Katie, I'd like you to go to her website. It's called way4life.net, and the number 4 is the number 4, not spelled out. So it's way4life.net. Katie, thanks for being on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
I appreciate it so much, and we will see you very soon with another episode of That's Life with John Carver. Thanks so much.